Can you guess which strategy game series has 2 entries in the top 100 of Steam concurrents, despite being 10 years old? Sid Meier's Civilization has roots all the way back to May 1991 with an original PC release. The catalog of Civ games includes 7 numbered entries and a handful of spin-offs, so out of all these opportunities to reach those high numbers, what separated 5 and 6 from the rest of them and cemented them as timeless video games? Well, the Civilization games have been deeply mechanically complex since the very beginning. But starting with 5, critics and the public took note that the depth present had not only grown and polished itself with time, but had been matched with aesthetics and excellent presentation. With over 250 hours in the series myself, I'd say what keeps 50,000 players returning on a daily basis to conquer the map before Gandhi ends it all with a nuke boils down to replayability. Each leader has predetermined strengths that influence the process of building your empire. Every unit has a variety of use cases. The wonders can change your approach based on what's available, and your interactions with other players can be the difference between an early victory and a proper thrashing at the hands of Winston Churchill. Wrap all that in a blanket with 7 different victory conditions, and you have enough ways that a game of Civ can play out that it could be the only game that you ever play if you so choose. The franchise has maintained relevance for over 30 years now with no signs of stopping, making Civilization a truly timeless game.
Some of You May Die is an auto battler that definitely lives up to its name. Every round you choose from classes of characters and upgrades for them to build a synergistic team that can work its way through the areas of the game. Some of the classes include, but are not limited to, a tank that will probably die, a priest that will probably die, an herbalist that will probably die, an archer that will probably die, a grunt that will definitely die. You know what? This game might as well be called You Will All Definitely Die, the video game. But it's all about experimenting with the tools that you have and figuring out what works well together to get further and further along as you play, so I really enjoy it. Check it out on Steam. There are few series in the world of video games in which you can accurately state that more than 10 games within are classics in their own right, spawning unique fan bases all to themselves. Final Fantasy is definitely one of those franchises. Being a long-running anthology series of JRPGs is conducive to this, as having many different worlds filled with individualized characters and very loose threads from one another is a perfect recipe for being able to walk into a room and hear, I think 6 is the best one, but Vivi from 9 rules, and 7 changed the game and is the most important, but 4 is definitely underrated. Hey, what about 13? Personally, I will always carry the torch for 2 games bearing the Final Fantasy name. 10, for its take on the foundations of religion and how modern technology often runs in opposition to that. And a humble spin-off, with enough strength to spark a series and a remaster all of its own.
Farewell.
Final Fantasy Tactics formed a party on the PS1 in North America in January of 1998, bringing with it the class-building systems and mythical creatures of previous games, but placing them in a brand new, isometric, chess-like perspective. An approach with select few points of comparison at the time, such as Tactics Ogre and components of early Fire Emblem games. A re-release of FFT was clamored for nearly 30 years before the game was redone in the form that you see on screen right now, complete with voice acting and updated visuals. Its hardcore fans, including myself, will forever praise its grounded storytelling and striking visuals that are present even in the original throughout the world of Ivalice. Using its characters to speak volumes about the modern world and its systems to appeal to your brain years after its debut is just a few of the many reasons Final Fantasy Tactics has earned the title of a timeless video game. The Loopler by is a roguelike racing-inspired game where you upgrade a little car to make as many laps around a track as possible before you run out of gas, which for some reason causes it to freaking explode. Guys, we're out of gas. Well, get out and push. It's got the typical roguelike trappings of synergies you have to look out for, little items to buy between rounds, and a nice relaxing aesthetic to tie it all together. It reminds me a lot of slot car racing, you know, those little plastic cars that go really fast around a track when you pull a trigger. And people can enjoy their own hobbies, but for whatever reason, this clip is super funny to me.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night has held the standard as the pinnacle of the Metroidvania genre in many people's minds for approaching 3 decades. Reaching summits of the greatest game lists with article after article leveraging Symphony of the Night as an attention-grabbing headliner doesn't just happen by accident. So, in order to surmise what makes Alucard's journey through a nightmare-filled castle relevant for so long, let's hop into a time machine to 1997 and see what made it so beloved. Julian Rigdal with IGN had this to say long before his rise to editor-in-chief at the games media giant. He says, quote, "The proverb, 'Don't judge a book by its cover,' has never been truer than this game. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a classic, featuring the same type of gameplay depth and plot premise of previous titles, but taking them to a whole new level of depth. This is an awesome game, deserving a veritable thesaurus of praise for its top-notch platforming action. Its environment is vast. There's an absolutely unbelievable amount of weapons available to the player. The bad guys are varied and many, and the game features more secrets than the Pentagon." After pouring through retrospectives and articles from the past, I think that statement from Julian, journalistic peers at the time, and everyday users both recently and at launch can boil down to one answer that makes Symphony of the Night timeless: expectation subversion. You see, when Konami's newest monster-slaying epic hit store shelves, it came at a time where most large-scale games were focused on the newest, groundbreaking technology, which at the time in 1997 was 3D games. Instead, the team leveraged 20 years of 2D action gaming experience to deliver the zenith of 2D games at the time. Deeper mechanics, rich environmental storytelling, superb enemy variety, and a soundtrack that spoke for itself, all blended together into something never before seen in one package, marking the origin of not only a timeless game talked about decades later, but an entire genre that has surpassed what was left behind by Dracula's inverse.
Wonderburg is what would happen if you took Hell's Moving Castle, combined it with BattleBots and Snake.io, and then Calcifer took the wheel and said, "I'm done with all this whimsy, it's time for violence." Regardless of if you want to bring in the big guns or run away as fast as you can, there seems to be options for you, including different types of weapons, different shapes of castles, different captains, all sorts of things to make your moving castle your own, with Wonderburg on Steam.
As common as it is now to see well cared for, polished video games come from some of the world's most popular licenses, it's easy to forget that seeing characters from other media on a game cover was usually a sign of a game attempting to cover for a lack of quality by slapping something popular on the box and hoping that small children would let impulse hand over the wheel and their wallets. That is, until a hero came along and changed that narrative under cover of night. Batman Arkham Asylum proved that genuine care placed into gameplay and a deep understanding of what makes the source material great can elevate a project that sells just because Batman is on the cover to one that changes the landscape of single-player games for generations to come. Almost overnight, The Dark Knight's newest video game was heralded as the greatest licensed video game ever made. And personally, I remember playing through it and feeling like it was the first time I was going through a game that had genuine effort put into it from top to bottom. Hamill and Conroy, cast as Batman and the Joker. Innovative combat that is copied to this day. Side content that carries as much weight as the main through line, and a tone that stays consistent from start to finish, as well as collectibles that are legitimate puzzles. Most of the time.
One would have to be severely paranoid to read threats into harmless riddle stuff.
Not only do these games exceed the standard of modern 3D action experiences, but they also routinely go on sale for less than a cup of coffee, including right now on the Steam Spring Sale. So I would hop on every opportunity that you get to check these games out and become Batman.
If you're old like me, you probably remember video rental stores. The smell of popcorn, snacks, and whatever strange thing that all the carpets smelled like as you made your way through the aisles upon aisles of options, deciding what to do for the night, before making your way to the pimple-covered teenager in the back with your newly acquired rental videos. All before taking out a baseball bat and breaking a kiosk of your closest competitor while running away from an exploding delivery truck. No? Just me? Well, at least it's me and Rewind 99.